So, many times I'm asked, what is your favorite EDH, CDH deck that you have? I'm going to tell you what that is. And this is a budget CDH deck. Um, in a way, it's a budget one because it doesn't have unnecessary things like Lion's Eye Diamond, which are kind of unnecessary. And this would be a great deck for somebody that wants to get a very high powered commander deck at a low cost because who is it? Salvala, Heart of the Wilds. I've shown this deck on here before. It's changed a bit just because I've embraced and loved it for so long. I feel like locally I am a Salvala guy. I've played it so much. So Salvala, Heart of the Wilds. Anybody not familiar with this powerhouse? It's 1 and 2 green. Legendary creature, Elf Scout. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, its controller may draw a card if its power is greater than each other creature's power. So that is going to be our opponents being able to draw a card, and for 1 green, we can tap and add X mana in any combination of colors where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. So, what does this deck do? It creates infinite mana is what it does. Because we're going to be tapping Salvala, we're tapping her, we're untapping, we're tapping, tappity, 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 do. We're going to be tapping and untapping all evening. So, we have a little bit of elf tribal going on here. And I'm going to show you why that is. So we have Llanowar Elves, Rampo. We have Findhorn Elves, a Rampo to the Campo. We have Elvish Mystic. That's going to be some Rampolini. We have Allosaurus Shepherd for our Protectorino. So, Allosaurus Shepherd can't be countered. Green spells you control cannot be countered. Pretty much all of our spells are green. So for 4 and 2 green until end of turn, each elf creature you control has base power and toughness 5/5 and becomes a dinosaur in addition to its other creature types. That's right, it becomes a dinosaur. Because we like dinosaurs, and there's only one other dinosaur in this deck. So if we can make all of our elves dinosaurs with 5/5, those dinosaurs might just dinosaur their way to victory. But just kidding. More so the first part is the important part. But I have made dinosaur elves. I have done it because we will play our whole deck with this. That is the way. We play the whole deckarino, Joe. We got Arbor Elf to untap target forest, and seems like a little thing, but it's a very big thing. Because early game, to get our turn 2, we definitely need all the tricks we can get. We have Quirion Ranger, return a forest you control to its owner's hand and tap target creature. Use this ability only once each turn. Only once there, greedy Gus. We have Wildborn Preserver. This is an X dump for us. So our X-rated Selvala deck here for 1 and a green, we get a 2/2 with Flash and Reach. And whenever another human, or another non-human, enters the battlefield under our control, we may pay X. When we do, put X 1/1 counters on Wildborn Preserver. So it'll be a great X dump for us to do something, because when I first played this, that was the problem. I remember when Selvala first was a thing, I played her, and I would have nowhere to dump my infinite mana sometimes, and I'd have all this mana. So I started playing this Omnath Locus of mana to hold the mana, but I was just like, nah, we need to win faster. We want CEDH. We want budget CEDH. We want to win turn 2. Ba-bam. Fauna Shaman. So budget, budget, budget. We're not running gold bordered because we don't want anybody making us think about it. So not running gold bordered. So we're not running survival of the fittest. But for 1 green, we can tap this wonderful elf lady here and discard a creature card. Search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. So it's a beat slow. However, it's the best we can do. We have Gaia's Herald. This is a Allo the Shepherd Light. Gaia's Herald for 1 and a green. Creature spells cannot be countered. We have the Priest of Titania. Now this is one you could cut to save a few bucks if you wanted, because she, for 1 and a green, a 1/1 to tap and add green to the mana pool for each elf in play. Play this ability as a mana source. It is powerful though, and it does work. That's why I haven't removed it. You don't have to run it. I know the 99 deck tech, they don't run it in that. It was cut. This new card from Dominaria United. 2 green. Other elves you control get +1/+1. Whenever you cast an elf spell, you may pay 1 green. If you do, draw a card. So get your pencils out to draw those cards, folks. We have a new Majaraga Chieftain. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay double X. When you do, distribute X 1/1 counters among any number of elves. So, man, can we certainly distribute all of these elves, give them infinite counters. We've done that plenty of times. And this has partner, too. This would be a neat commander. Definitely not an overlooked commander. For 3 green, we have a Steel Leaf Champion as a 5/4, which is going to give us Selvala Ramp. Steel Leaf Champion can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. We have Elvish Spirit Guide, the sad elf, which never is cast, it just is exile. It's very sad. Moment of silence for the Elvish Spirit Guide. Alright, that's enough. Okay, if Elvish Spirit Guide is in your hand, you may remove it from the game to add 1 green to your mana pool. Play this ability as an interrupt, or an instant, for you young folks out there. Elvish Archdruid for 1 and 2 green. Other elf creatures you control get a bumpity boo. And you tap it, add a green for each elf you control. So we are creating ways, you see, because Selvala is countered. Not always. She's not like the biggest target, to be honest. We have ways to protect her in here, but she is a target. So always be drawing. Don't forget your ABD. Always be drawing, man. Beast Whisper will help us do that. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. So get your pencils, get your pens, get your pads. We're going to be drawing cards. Now let's meet some of these big baddies here. There's 4 of them. We got 4 Hydras. We have the Mistcutter Hydra, can't be countered. It's got haste, protection from blue. Mistcutter Hydra enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it. So this guy's getting on there, and we're going to make him hasty too most of the time. So we got our Mistcutter, we got Genesis. When you cast Genesis Hydra, reveal the top X cards of your library. You may put a non-land permanent card with converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield, then shuffle the rest into the library. Genesis Hydra enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it. So we can go get us a big boy worm. We have Polykranos, World Eater. It's got a double X cost, Monstrosity X. If this creature isn't monstrous, put X 1/1 counters on it. When Polykranos World Eater becomes monstrous, it deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures your opponents control. Each of those creatures deals damage equal to its power to Polykranos. This is interesting because when you find yourself confronted with an infinite token field, something like that, you can infinitely destroy those with our infinite mana. So this is a wonderful dump. I have cut this from the deck for like 6 months, and it is back in the deck because I missed it so bad. So Polykranos belongs in here, I feel. We have the Hydra Broodmaster. Get ourselves an infinite token army. Monstrosity, double X and a green. When Hydra Broodmaster becomes monstrous, put XXX green Hydra creature tokens onto the battlefield. So if we get infinite hasty green Hydras, that's a win. We have Wirewood Symbiote. Return an elf you control to its owner's hand and tap target creature. Play this ability only once each turn. So these are non-elf, non-Hydras. And I will show you each of them. Of course I will. That's what I'm doing here, right? You're like, buddy, we're going to do that. And we're going to do a deck tech video of this too, to show these wins and what we want. We will do some goldfishing because, believe it or not, it's a commander deck that is fun to goldfish. Goldfishing is very fun if you play the old turn 5 game with this. Which, anybody not familiar, the turn 5 game is I do 5 draws and try to hit the combos. Return an elf you control to its owner's hand and tap target creature. Play this ability only once each turn. We went over that, big fella. Come on now, that's a... We got the Scrib. It's a flash for 1 and a green. Flying, protection from blue. Return a forest you control to its owner's hand and tap target creature. Play this ability only once each turn. Once. And I love that artwork. Definitely love it. All right. Here's our Ramper, because we're not running Phyrexian Dreadnought because he's like $75. And it's kind of a silly card, in my opinion. This is enough ramp for us. So for 3... we got that cumulative upkeep, kind of annoying, but it's not really going to affect us. It's sacrifice a creature. But this is going to net us 5 mana. Basically, like if you subtract its cost. We have the Augur of Autumn. Now, this card does work in the deck. Look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play lands from the top of your library. That's fine. Coven. As long as you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, you may cast creature spells from the top of your library. That ability right there is amazing. To just keep stuff coming. So we have Wolfbriar Elemental. Now this is going to be an X dump. It's got multi-kicker, 1 green. When Wolfbriar Elemental enters the battlefield, put a 2/2 green wolf creature token onto the battlefield for each time it was kicked. So what's neat about this is we can kick that infinite times most times. Teamer Sabertooth. Can't say enough. This is Selvalla's favorite kitty, I think. You may return another target creature another creature you control to its owner's hand. If you do, Teamer Sabertooth gains indestructible until end of turn. So this is a way that is going to unlock a good number of combos for us and very useful in our deck. Much like Ulvenweld Oddity here, which I love this card in here. Trample, Haste, Transform Ulvenweld. Let's do that. So Ulvenweld transforms into an 8/8 with Trample and Haste, and other creatures you control get +1/+1 and have Trample and Haste. This card is so cheap, and it's so great in this deck. I would never cut this because this card is just amazing. When you have infinite mana that transform, and you can transform this as soon as it hits there. So transform it as soon as it hits the table. That's fine. And Nessian Boar. All creatures able to block Nessian Boar do so. Whenever Nessian Boar becomes blocked by a creature, that creature's controller draws a card. So this also nets us 5 mana when it hits, if Selvalla's on board. Because it's 5 cost, but it's a 10/6. So we have Impervious Great Worm. Boom, boom, boom. Timmy King. We can convoke it, so that's a good thing. But not necessary, because a lot of times we're going to search this up anyways. And we're going to be playing it with infinite mana. And it's a 16/16 indestructible Great Worm. Yes, the ultimate answer to intrigue and subtlety. And we have a Galta, Primal Hunger, in this wonderful foil version here. I just love these. Galta Primal Hunger costs X less to cast, where X is the total power of creatures you control. Trample. And we're going to be getting big power creatures, so a lot of times we'll just cast this for 2, and then we'll have 10 mana. In a lot of ways, say like turn 3, we have like 7 power on the board, collectively between creatures. This cast turn 3 is just wonderful. All right, so those are the creatures. That's the creature base. There it is. You've seen that. So let's go on to the instance. All right, perfect. I grabbed them just right. We have Mutagenic Growth, free, 2 mana in this deck if we hit Selvala with it. Worldly Tutor, search the library. We're going to be tutoring up. We got Crumble to bury target artifact. Artifact's controller gains life points equal to target artifact's casting cost. We don't care about that. Might of Old Krosa, it's a 1 mana, gets 2/2 until end of turn. If you cast it during your main phase, which we always will, it gets 4/4. So again, just some free mana there. Vines of Vastwood, this is to protect Selvala. Target creature can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control this turn. If Vines of Vastwood was kicked, that creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn. And we're going to love doing that. So that is real powerful for us. We have Blossoming Defense. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 and gains hexproof until end of turn. So these are going to keep us on the board, and they're also going to add power to something to just add mana. So even this, it costs 1 mana, but we're going to be 1 mana ahead when we play this. Plus, that creature is going to have hexproof. Nature's Claim. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Its controller gains 4 life. Do not care about life gain, but we do care about getting rid of artifacts and enchantments. We have Vitalize. Untap all creatures you control. This is so obvious in the deck. Autumn's Veil. I've thought of putting Veil of Summer in here, but honestly, I just am not coming up against like too many blue or black decks lately. But spells you control can't be countered by blue or black spells this turn, and creatures you control can't be the targets of blue or black spells. So I like Autumn's Veil in here. Veil of Summer would be just great too. However, I got those in another deck right now. And I think Autumn's Veil is just fine. But it could be Veil of Summer just fine too. And probably even better. So Emerald Charm, choose one. Untap target permanent or destroy target global enchantment, or target creature loses flying until end of turn. So that untap, that's what we're going to be looking for, or global enchantment destruction. Ram through, excellent removal for us. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. If the creature you control has trample, excess damage is dealt to that creature's controller. I've used this so many times to knock out single opponents. Just be like, "You're out of here, Tony. You're out of the game." And then I just got 2 more to worry about. So that's okay. And this is a great card in here. It's not necessarily a needed card, but it is a wonderful card because permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. So if you cast this when you have your infinite mana, you can do your turn 1, not turn 1, but that turn you can get your stuff out, you can play your deck and win without being interacted with. So that's pretty important for us. We have Invigorate, which if you control a forest, which we will, rather than pay this cost, you may have an opponent gain 4 or 3 life. That's fine. Target creature gets +4/+4. So they gain the life. Other than that, this is 4 free mana for us. We have Beast Within. Destroy target permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 green beast creature token. And it's not so wrong for us to sometimes do that to ourselves to get an extra mana on board. And it's just very versatile to destroy any target permanent. We don't mind giving anybody a beast token, and we've given ourselves beast tokens. We have Court of Calling. Convoke. Your creatures can help it. We love Convoke. Search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost X or less and put it onto the battlefield and shuffle your library. So a wonderful tutor. We have then right here, Momentous Fall. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sack a creature. You draw cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power, then you gain life equal to its toughness. So we can sacrifice a Hydra that is basically, you could say like 75/75. And we can actually draw our deck and play our deck. So that's real good. Now we're going to get into the sorceries. Tony, sorcery. All right. There we go. Sure. You didn't see that. That's secret. That's the future. You can't look into the future. Knock it off. All right. Scale up. Until end of turn, target creature you control becomes a what? A green worm with a base power and toughness 6/4. An overload is each creature. So we're not worried about that, but turning something into this worm will net us some big mana. So we like that. We have Scale Up. Green Sun Zenith. I'm not even going to explain why this is in here. If you're running green, it should be in. Got Land Grant. Now this one I will explain. I love this card. So 1 and a green. If you have no land cards in hand, you may reveal your hand instead of paying Land Grant's mana cost. Search your library for a forest card and put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library. And why don't I care about revealing my hand? Because Selvala is a very obvious commander. And this, getting that X, this is just, can't say enough about it. And the cost, if you just have to hard cast it, that's fine too. If you do not want to show your hand, you're still getting the land. Don't want to show the hand, still get the land. Just pay 2. All right, we got Regrowth. Bring any card from your graveyard to your hand. That's nice. Road of Return. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Put your commander into your hand from the command zone, or we can entwine them. That's just fine. So see all these ways? Selvala gets treated very poorly on the command, when she leaves the command zone. So we must protect her. So each player may search his or her library for up to X creature cards. Go ahead and do that because we're going to win on this turn. Reveal those cards and put them into his or her hand. Then each player who searched his or her library this way shuffles it. Go ahead and do that, but make sure you are going to win this turn when you do that. And we have this strange and mysterious card here, which we don't know what it is. It's Finale of Devastation, and it's going to seek us out something big. It's going to put it on the board, and it's going to give everything that and trample until end of turn. And everything's going to be hasty as well. So, Finale of Devastation. And I have a regular one around here too, but I just love this one. I think that language it's writing looks absolutely wonderful with this artwork. Love this card. But I do have one around here. But we know what Finale of Devastation does. And yeah, I always have the token or the English version to put over top of that when I play. Just because I can't read that either. But I love it. I think it looks beautiful. I can't read Egyptian hieroglyphs, but I think they look great. So Awaken the Woods. Here's an X dump. Create X 1/1 green forest dryad land creature tokens. And it seems kind of counterintuitive to create a bunch of mana producing dryad creatures, but they're an army. We can give them haste. So another way to win. Soul's Majesty. Draw cards equal to the power of target creature you control. Not to mention, say we get Selvala out, right? And we can generate a bunch of mana some ways. Oh, a little. That's interesting. So say we can generate infinite mana. Then basically we get these on the board. We have a bunch of land creatures. So if something happens to Selvala between that turn and the turn following, we're still going to have all those land creatures. So we can still do some of our hijinks. So Soul's Majesty, there's some kind of bump. I don't know what that is. I'm going to have to investigate that. It's like a bump on my inner sleeve. But anyways, draw cards equal to the power of target creature you control, which is going to be infinite with that. So Triumph of the Hordes. Honestly, I like this better than Finale of Devastation. Till end of turn, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain Trample and Infect. This wins me way more games, honestly. Because this is just comes in, I just love this. I mean, who cares? As long as we have our hasty boys. You may reveal the top X cards of your library with Genesis Wave. You may put any number of permanent cards with converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Then put all cards revealed this way that weren't put into the battlefield into your graveyard. So that, again, it's going to poop everything right out onto the field. Rishkar's Expertise. Draw cards equal... all ABD, man. Always be drawn. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. You may cast a card with converted mana cost 5 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. Ooh. All right. Enchantment. Enchant. And we'll get all of them right down to the land, I think. All right. Perfectly. Sure. All right. In any case. Carpet of Flowers, of course. Because we're going to be playing some blue, so there's some mana ramp. Instill Energy. Untap up to one additional time. You may untap target creature one additional time during your turn. Target creature may also attack the turn it comes into play. Selvala. Wild Growth. We're going to enchant a land and give it some extra mana there. So this pays for itself in cantrip fashion. Love the things that pay for themselves, especially if they let you draw a card. But not always the case. Concordant Crossroads, a world enchantment. All creatures have haste. We have Helix Pinnacle. This is my favorite card in the deck in the most awkward win condition. Shroud. And then pay X and put X tower counters on Helix Pinnacle. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 100 or more tower counters on Helix Pinnacle, you win the game. Has this won me games? Yes, it has. Yes, it absolutely wins games. And it wins games with a passive way, too. You can be pacifist with that. I like it. Kenrith's Transformation. 1 and a green. Enchant creature. When Kenrith's Transformation enters the battlefield, draw a card. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a green elk creature with base power and toughness 3/3. So, excellent card draw. Excellent way to turn a commander into an elk. We have Sylvan Library. Because, yes, Sylvan Library, good. And why wouldn't we run that? Song of Dryads. Enchant permanent. Enchanted permanent is a colorless forest land. That's a beautiful thing to do to a commander. It's a lot harder to remove a land or sacrifice a land. Because it's not that in addition to its other types. Song of the Dryads turns it into a colorless forest land, not in addition to its other types. Very rude card, but very necessary for certain commanders. Whenever a creature with power 3 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, I'll draw a card. Of course we will. Oh, thank you, Chief. We'll draw a card. Oh, give me that pencil. I'm going to draw a card. Here's the most budget-friendly card in the deck that absolutely does not need to be reprinted. This card is not busted at all and doesn't need a reprint. Doesn't need a reprint at all. We have Mox Amber. Got a reprint. Appreciated a reprint. Tap, add 1 mana of any color among legendary creatures and planeswalkers you control. We have Lotus Petal, one of my favorite cards in Magic right here. Sacrifice the petal. It's a 0 mana cost. Add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Play this Pauper Powerhouse as a mana source. We have the Soul Ring. Oh, we love it, a Soul Ring. And you'll see we have no Arcane Signet in here for obvious reasons. So tap 3, or pay 3, tap. This creature gets +2 until end of turn. Or untap, rather. It's Umbral Mantle. We know what it does in the dark. Equip 0. So perfect for us. Perfect for untapping the lady. And she looks so nice in the Umbral Mantle as well. Staff of Domination. Right there. So here's our important ones. Right? Certainly. Now let's go through our land base. We have a Dryad Arbor, because there's no way to make these in the deck, right? We have Tree of Tales. So it's an artifact land, and boy does it look like Mega Man. Reminds me of Woodman, so I love it. But other than that, it's basically just... And we have Command Beacon. Add 1 colorless and sacrifice Command Beacon. Put that commander into your hand from the command zone to get around the command tax, which we are going to have. We have Wirewood Lodge. It's another untapper. And I think that's it for the funkies. Now we just got the funnies. So Forest, 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 Forest. And we'll get into some deck tech. This baby's real light on the land, but we got a lot of ramp in it. Thank you for joining me here. And we really appreciate it. And we love these deck techs. So this is a budget deck, but this deck will stomp. And if you build this deck, you will not be disappointed, my friends. Because it is fun. But do not forget the Hydras.